Hello, and welcome to day 7 of the trade series. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing a trade from April 9th. This was on a 1-minute time frame. I did use a higher time frame bias here. I did not write that in here, and I do apologize. I probably should have done that. So to those of you who are following along during April and strategy wars and trying to use my trades to figure out how's trading, I'm really sorry about that. I'm just looking back now and realizing I really should have written that in. I did use a higher time frame bias as far as a bearish bias. But for those of you watching this series, you'll know that if you look back at the last, I think it's 3 days of trades, I've been bearish bias for the most part, other than a retracement that I talked about in one of those videos. But my point is that I was using a higher time frame bias here, analyzing the overall chart and just kind of looking quickly, what's the trend type of thing. So I did use a higher time frame for that. And then I dropped to the 1-minute time frame. So I already knew when I was on the 1-minute time frame and marking this zone of consolidation prior to market opening that I was looking for a breakout. I wasn't looking for any of these upright smiley faces that you're seeing. These are all just trash for me because I already knew that I was waiting for this break to happen. I just want to make that clear because otherwise this looks kind of confusing probably. So I knew all along before I got into place these trades, I only wanted to stick with the trend of the higher time frame, which was bearish. So just so you guys understand. What you'll see here is I marked this zone like this. And this is just a consolidation zone that I had seen prior to opening. Market opening happens here for indices at 9:30. So this is just kind of low volume time, which is normal to see it kind of just consolidating. So I just kind of marked my high and low of the Tokyo session, London session, and then was just waiting to see where and if my bearish break would happen. So it didn't have a bearish breakout anywhere. I do have a bearish rejection up here. I did not get into this. I don't even think I was looking at the market just yet because this is prior to opening and I usually don't even pop on until around 9:30 or so. But nonetheless, this wouldn't have been an entry for me personally. I don't like to take anything prior to opening. I like opening to happen, as you can see, around 9:30. Let it take its liquidity or do its little grab or whatever wonky stuff it wants to do for that first few minutes of opening, and then usually it starts to go in the actual direction that it's meant to. So that's exactly what happened here. Just broke through it. And if you're somebody who likes that DR, the DR, the daily ranges, or the IDRs, this is kind of that idea, I guess, where I'll extend out my Tokyo and London session sometimes before I come in, especially if I see a lot of consolidation, and I just kind of wait for that break. Kind of similar to that kind of concept. So if you're somebody who likes that idea of using sessions, then you might want to check out something like the daily ranges and using that. We talk a lot about that in TTF, and Alex is somebody who uses it a ton. So you guys can check out his streams to the topic. All right, back to the trade. So we have this bearish candle that breaks out from our marked zone that we have. And basically that was all I needed. I already had my bias based off of a higher time frame and bearish smiley face that I had on the higher time frame. Below, make a new lower low. I entered in and I did actually get lucky because the candle was forming, but once I saw it pretty strongly break here and clearly break below, I was good to enter. So I actually got a pretty good entry price. And I did enter in. I was targeting a 1.8R. I did use a level to the left that was marked. So I did use that level. And then I got a nice little pullback here, a little bit of a pullback, and then a nice strong bearish smiley face again that happened. Again, this candle was retracing, so I got kind of lucky that I got a nice price. And I did go to stack this trade. So I ended up being able to get a 1.5 on this one as well, targeting the same take profit that I did for the first trade. So I've talked about stacking before in a previous video. I also can explain more about what I do when I stack, but I can link that above here in the video. But essentially, this trade was pretty much running safe at this point, this first trade. So I was able to get into a second trade risk-free at this point because I already would have made money and secured money on this trade. Able to get in on this one and then earn another additional 1.5R. So between the two trades. This is what I was able to make. This was on my Forex account, my live one that I had talked about. It was a 50K account. So not too bad for the day, especially because I know there's a lot, there's a lot of money here that I probably left. And people always tell me oh, because you leave so much money behind sometimes, you could have had a lot more reward had you trailed tighter or things like that. And I honestly could have, and I'm aware of that. And it always does kind of suck to go back in hindsight and look. But truthfully, I very rarely go back in hindsight and look. It's not until the next day when I come in to see what did the market do after I left the market, then I'm oh wow, could have had more. But I'm very rarely ever annoyed or upset by it, because truthfully, this is real money for me. This is a real 50K account I had talked about in previous videos, and $3,366, that's huge for me. I think for most people, to make $3,366 in less than an hour of your life, that, I think it's pretty good money. I don't know what other people are making hourly, but I'm okay with that. I'm good to make that. And I don't really get caught up in the well, coulda, shoulda, woulda, with look how much more it dropped kind of thing. Because I said, that's real money for me. This is real life, and it's only 1 hour of my life that I actually had to give to sit down, look at the chart, do the analysis, and let the trade run out. Now, to be fair, sometimes these trades run a lot longer and all that, but for this particular day, I wouldn't have looked back and been upset. I would have been more than happy with the rewards that I did get on these trades and on this account, because it happened so quickly. And I think this is great money for one day. Anyway, that's my spiel about that. Okay. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And this just kind of added on to the account that I was working with. So you guys will see, I think, if you show, I'll end up showing the weekly at the end, where you'll be able to see all the trades. So that way, I always post it usually on Fridays for Strategy Wars, for full transparency. I'll post the weekly or the monthly, depending on how many trades there are. So you can see everything that's taken on the same exact account. But you'll see that I cover April 15th trades. But you'll see that everything will be I guess I'll jump to it. But all of the trades that I took will kind of be listed under I guess I put monthly here, but just so you guys can see what that would look like. So anyway, spoiler alert there, but just for those wondering where are the other trades you took, that is where they will be. I usually post it on Fridays at the end of the week. That way you can see everything that I took throughout the week and the trades that I reviewed, and being transparent and showing everything. Okay, so anyway, that is that for these two trades that I took on the 9th. Yeah, pretty much using a higher time frame, a bias that I had formed, waited for the breakout on the lower time frame. And the only other thing that's a little different here is using a Tokyo-London session, high and low, that if you wanted to look into doing something like that, could actually be really helpful. And we do cover that a lot in the trading floor, or you can find tons of content on that too on YouTube for free. So that is something that I do tend to kind of peek at as well if I see. I don't live and die by the daily ranges like some people do, but I do appreciate them. And there's very often that it happens that my levels that I draw or zones will line up with those daily ranges. So that is definitely something I would recommend looking into if you are somebody who's interested in having more a definitive support and resistance area. If you used a daily range, everybody's daily range will be marked the same. You'll all be placing your daily range at the same areas. So that's a little tip there for people who like to be able to check themselves for their zones and know that where they're placing it is where everyone else would be placing it. So that would be helpful for you doing something like the daily range. Okay, you guys, that is it for this video. And I will see you back here for video 8.